Okay, I want to start today with a little exercise in visualization.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I want you, the listener, to close your eyes. Unless you're driving. Please don't close your eyes if you're driving.
Good disclaimer.
Right. But if you can, conjure up an image of royal wealth. I'm talking about the absolute peak of monarchical riches. Who do you see?
I think I know where most people go with this.
Where?
The brain immediately jumps to the Middle East, right? You picture the House of Saud, oil wells, gold-plated Lamborghinis, maybe pet tigers on a leash.
Exactly. Or if you're thinking about brand recognition, you probably picture the British monarchy.
Oh, sure. King Charles, Buckingham Palace.
The crown jewels, that whole pomp and circumstance aesthetic.
It's the natural assumption. We associate the concept of a monarchy with either European fame or Middle Eastern oil.
Right.
But here is the kicker. If we actually look at the ledger, like the hard assets, the liquidity, the land...
Those guys are barely making the top 5.
Barely.
This is where it gets really interesting. Because there is a king out there who sits on a fortune that makes the British monarchy look like they're running a neighborhood lemonade stand.
A very small lemonade stand.
We are talking about a single man controlling an estimated 43 billion US dollars.
And that is actually a conservative estimate based on our source material.
Really?
Yeah. Depending on how you value the undeveloped land in the portfolio, some analysts put that number closer to 70 billion.
Let's just pause on that. 43 billion. To put that in perspective for everyone listening, the king of Saudi Arabia, he's estimated to be worth about 18 billion.
Right.
King Charles, his personal wealth is less than 2 billion.
It's a massive gap.
The man we are talking about today is wealthier than both of them combined, with enough left over to buy a small island nation or fund a space program.
And yet he is the only royal on that list who you might catch cycling through the German Alps.
Yep.
Wearing a tiny tank top. Like a crop top, essentially.
A crop top and low-rise jeans.
And sporting massive, fake, temporary tattoos.
It is the ultimate visual paradox. You have the deepest pockets in the royal world, and you're cycling through Bavaria looking like an aging pop star on a bender.
It really is.
Today, we are deep diving into the land of smiles. Thailand. But we aren't talking about beautiful beaches, elephants, and street food.
No, we are dissecting the reign of King Maha Vajiralongkorn, also known as Rama X.
And based on the sources we have, this story feels less like a geopolitical analysis and more like a season of Game of Thrones written by a hallucinating reality TV producer.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
I mean, we have a poodle that held the rank of Air Chief Marshal.
We have a harem sequestered in a Bavarian hotel during the height of the COVID pandemic.
And lurking underneath all that tabloid craziness, there is a legitimate high-stakes power struggle involving a 250-year-old curse.
A curse that says this dynasty, the Chakri dynasty, might actually end with him.
So that's our mission today. We're going to peel back the gold leaf and see what's really happening in the world's richest and perhaps most volatile court.
We need to unpack not just the crazy, but the rich, and understand how a monarchy operates like this in the 21st century.
Let's start with the money, because $43 billion isn't just, I saved my allowance. That is nation-state level money.
Absolutely.
How does one person actually access that kind of liquidity?
This is where we have to get a little technical, because the distinction is vital. In most constitutional monarchies, there is a separation between the crown and the king.
Right, like in the UK.
Take the UK, exactly. The crown estate belongs to the position. King Charles can't just sell Hyde Park because he wants to buy a new yacht.
It's held in trust for the nation.
Exactly. He gets a salary, essentially, or a cut of the profits, but he doesn't own the assets.
Okay, so how did Thailand work?
Now, Thailand used to work somewhat similarly. There was an institution called the Crown Property Bureau, or the CPB. For decades, it managed the royal assets. We're talking about 4,000 acres of prime real estate in Bangkok, massive shares in cement companies, major banks.
And the idea was that this money supported the monarchy as an institution.
Right, not the individual on the throne.
But Rama X, the current king, looked at that arrangement and decided he didn't like the middleman.
He didn't just dislike it, he dismantled it entirely.
Whoa.
In 2017, shortly after taking the throne, he pushed through legislation that gave him direct personal control over the CPB.
Wait, so he essentially moved the national trust into his personal checking account?
In practice, yes.
That is insane.
The shares in Siam Cement Group and Siam Commercial Bank, which are worth billions of dollars, were transferred into his personal name.
So he is no longer just the custodian of this wealth.
He is the owner. He pays tax on it now, which he argues makes it transparent, but it effectively means the nation's largest sovereign wealth fund became a personal piggy bank.
That is a staggering consolidation of power. It turns the entire country's economy into his personal portfolio.
It does. And the source material highlights the land ownership specifically. It's mind-blowing.
Break the numbers down for us.
He owns roughly 3,320 acres in central Bangkok alone.
For context, Central Park in New York is about 840 acres. So he owns 4 Central Parks worth of land.
But in the middle of a dense commercial city.
Right.
Precisely. Imagine owning 3,000 acres of Manhattan. Not just the park, but the ground under the malls, the hotels, the business districts.
The rent alone from those properties has to bring in hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
At least. And that's just the capital.
Yeah.
Nationwide, the Crown owns roughly 130,000 acres.
So the implication here is the whole country is basically mine.
In a very literal sense, he's the landlord of the nation. But money is only half the equation here.
Right. You need the power to keep it.
And this is where the history gets really fascinating. King Maha, the current king, inherited a machine that was fine-tuned by his father, King Boomable, or Rama IX.
We have to talk about the father, Rama IX. Because in Thailand, he wasn't just a king, he was a semi-divine figure.
He ruled for 70 years.
Which is incredible.
He was the only monarch in modern Thai history to be called the Great. But he didn't start that way.
No.
When he took the throne in 1946, the monarchy was actually weak. The military held the real power. Rama IX was essentially a puppet.
So how did he flip the script? How do you go from puppet to the guy pulling all the strings?
He played the long game. In 1957, there was a military leader named Suthida who staged a coup.
Okay.
Rama IX allied with him. It was a symbiotic relationship. The military needed legitimacy, which the king provided, and the king needed muscle.
Makes sense.
Together, they launched this massive PR campaign based around nation, religion, king.
That's the trinity. You see it everywhere in Thailand.
It is. And this is when they restored the custom of prostrate bowing.
Oh, describe that for the listener who hasn't seen it, because it is visually striking.
It's not just a polite bow like you might see in Japan. You are crawling on the floor.
Literally crawling.
You have to lie flat, effectively, and keep your head lower than the king's feet at all times.
Wow.
It's a physical manifestation of the hierarchy. If the king is sitting in a chair, you are on the carpet. If he stands up, you're still on the carpet.
And this wasn't an ancient tradition that just never went away.
No, it had actually been abolished by an earlier king who wanted Thailand to be more modern.
So Rama IX intentionally brought it back.
Exactly, to reinforce the godlike status of the monarch. But the real turning point, the moment the king became the ultimate authority, was in 1973.
Ah, the student protests?
Yes, there were massive protests against the military dictatorship. Hundreds of thousands of people in Bangkok. Violence broke out.
And the king intervened.
He opened the palace gates to the students and ordered the military dictator to leave the country.
That is a massive power move, siding with the people against the army.
It cemented his status as the father of the nation. From that point on, he was untouchable. He survived 20 coups, saw 30 prime ministers come and go, but he remained the center of gravity.
So Rama IX builds this engine of absolute reverence and limitless wealth. He creates a system where the king is half man, half god.
Yes.
And then he passes away. And the keys to this Ferrari, this $43 billion nuclear-powered Ferrari, are handed to his only son, Maha.
And to Rama X. And this is where the story shifts dramatically.
Because while the father was stoic and hardworking,
The son is a different character entirely.
let's talk about his early life. Because you'd think, growing up in that shadow, he'd be trained to be this stoic, godlike figure, too.
You would think. He was born in 1952, the only son. And by all accounts, he was incredibly spoiled.
There's a famous anecdote in our source material about him.
Yeah, that at age 12, he still couldn't tie his own shoes.
Why? Because he just wasn't capable.
No, because courtiers did absolutely everything for him. He would just stick his foot out and someone would tie it.
Wow.
If you never have to tie your shoes, you never learn. It breeds a certain type of helplessness, but also a massive sense of entitlement.
However, we shouldn't paint him as totally incompetent. The source material actually points out that he has genuine skills. He's not just playing soldier.
That's correct. He's a licensed pilot. And not just for a small Cessna.
Right.
We are talking fighter jets, helicopters, commercial Boeing airliners.
He actually flies them.
He does. He's certified in special operations, demolition, parachuting. He is legitimately trained. He spent time at the Royal Military College, Duntroon, in Australia.
Which makes his behavior even more baffling to me. You have this disciplined military training, but then you have a temperament that is, well, let's call it volatile.
Volatile is a very polite word for it.
Hmm.
There are two incidents involving Japan that really illustrate this personality. We call them the diplomatic disasters.
I love these stories. They are so petty, but the stakes are so incredibly high.
The first one was in 1987. Maha was still the crown prince. He visits Japan on an official trip. Now, protocol is everything in these visits. It's a ballet of politeness.
Everything is choreographed.
But things went wrong almost immediately.
The driver incident.
Yes. They are driving on the highway, and the Japanese chauffeur, well, nature called, he had to stop at a toll booth to use the restroom.
A completely normal human bodily function.
Right. But Maha took this as a massive personal insult. He felt neglected. He felt disrespected. Like, how dare this driver stop while I'm in the car? Does he not know who I am?
And it didn't stop there.
No.
Yeah.
Later, at a ribbon-cutting ceremony, the ribbon was positioned in a way that Maha had to bend down slightly to cut it.
Okay.
Now, in Japanese culture, bowing or lowering oneself is standard politeness. But remember, in Thailand, everyone crawls on the floor for him.
So he sees bending down to cut a ribbon as a slight.
Exactly. He viewed it as the Japanese trying to make him bow. He stormed off, canceled the rest of the trip, and flew home early.
Okay, so that's a temper tantrum. But the sequel is where he uses that pilot training we talked about.
This is 1996, 9 years later. The Japanese Prime Minister visits Thailand for a major summit.
And Maha has not forgotten the toll booth.
He hasn't forgotten the ribbon either.
He is holding a grudge for a decade.
So as the Japanese Prime Minister's Boeing 747 is preparing to take off from Bangkok, suddenly a fighter jet appears on the runway.
And who is in the cockpit?
It's Prince Maha.
Hmm.
He taxis his F-5 fighter jet directly in front of the Prime Minister's plane and just parks it there.
I really want the listener to picture this. You are the Prime Minister of Japan. You are in a massive jumbo jet, and a single fighter jet just cuts you off and hits the brake.
For 20 minutes, he blocked the runway. The engines are running. The diplomats are panicking. The control tower is probably having a heart attack.
And he just sat there.
He just sat there to say, I remember.
That is terrifying, but it's also the ultimate don't mess with me move. It shows a personality that values personal feelings over international diplomacy.
It shows that he views the world as revolving entirely around his emotions. If he feels slighted, the rules of the world stop. And that mindset extends to everything, even his pets.
Oh boy. Here we go. We have to talk about Foo Foo.
We have to talk about the Air Chief Marshal.
For the listener, Foo Foo is a poodle. A white, fluffy poodle. But in Thailand, Foo Foo was not just a dog.
No. Foo Foo was an Air Chief Marshal in the Royal Thai Air Force.
I just need to hear you say that again. The dog was an Air Chief Marshal.
Officially promoted. And this wasn't a joke that they kept inside the palace. This was public. Soldiers, actual human soldiers with families and careers, were required to salute the dog.
I'm imagining a general, a guy who has served for 30 years, snagging a salute to a poodle in a custom outfit.
That is exactly what happened. Foo Foo had custom-tailored military uniforms. He had little paw boots. He attended state dinners.
Are there photos of this?
There are photos of the dog sitting at the main table at gala events.
The U.S. ambassador actually wrote about this, didn't he?
Yes, in a leaked WikiLeaks cable. Ralph Boyce, the ambassador, described a gala dinner where Foo Foo jumped onto the head table and started drinking from the guests' water glasses.
And everyone just watched.
You have to.
Yeah.
You smile and you watch.
Yeah.
Because if you react, if you push the dog away, you are criticizing the king's judgment.
This feels deeper than just, I love my dog. This feels like a Caligula move.
It is exactly that. It's the horse consul maneuver. If I can force the highest-ranking men in the military to bow to a poodle, I have demonstrated total dominance over them.
It's a way of breaking their dignity.
Exactly. To ensure loyalty. It's humiliation as a management strategy.
Brutal, but effective. Until, of course, the video leaked.
The birthday scandal.
Set the scene for us.
This was in 2014. A video leaked. It was a private birthday party for Foo Foo. The video showed the king, who was then still the prince, and his third wife, Surasmi.
Okay.
They are in a five-star hotel in the UK.
And the content of the video, it wasn't just singing happy birthday?
No. In the video, Princess Surasmi, the future queen, potentially, is lying on the floor. She is wearing almost nothing, just a tiny G-string. And she is eating cake next to the dog.
The contrast in that video is chilling. You have the dog, treated like a king, eating cake, and you have the princess, the mother of the future heir, lying on the floor, effectively being treated like the pet.
That was the moment the veil dropped for many Thais. It stripped away the god-king mythology and replaced it with a very grim reality of how the inner circle actually operated.
It went viral globally, right?
It did. In Thailand, of course, you couldn't share it legally, but everyone saw it.
And when Foo Foo finally passed away in 2015.
A 4-day traditional Buddhist funeral. Full state honors.
Yeah.
Monks chanting golden shrines for a Poodle.
It's tragic and absurd at the same time, but this eccentric behavior didn't stop when he became king. In fact, when the world was falling apart in 2020, things got even weirder.
The COVID era.
So, 2020. Thailand is heavily dependent on tourism. The economy crashes. People are terrified. Where is the king? Is he in Bangkok giving speeches? Is he visiting hospitals?
No. He is in Bavaria, Germany. He effectively abandoned ship.
And he didn't just rent a room.
He rented the entire Grand Hotel Sonnenbill. It's this luxury hotel in the Alps. At a time when hotels were closed due to lockdown, he got special permission to keep it open as his private residence.
And he wasn't alone.
No, he brought a harem. The source material refers to them as a military unit. He organized 20 concubines into what was called the SAS.
Which usually stands for Special Air Service, the elite British commando unit.
Right, but in this case, the acronym stood for, well, a sexual service unit.
Wow.
But the weirdest detail is that he assigned them military ranks and numbers. It was role play.
The source mentions military pilot role play.
Yes, they would wear uniforms, he would be the commander. It creates this bizarre mix of military discipline and hedonism. And there's a detail in the source that is just strange.
What's that?
One of the concubines was his daughter's best friend.
That is a sentence I really didn't expect to hear today.
It highlights how the lines between personal life, family, and subjects are completely blurred for him. Everyone is just a character in his story.
Meanwhile, he's living in this hotel, and during the day, the locals in Germany are seeing him cycling around.
Right, and this is where the crop tops come in again. He's an older man, in his late 60s at this point, cycling in low-rise jeans, showcasing these fake tattoos, and, as the source politely puts it, his tummy rolls.
It's such a stark contrast to the image of his father, who is always in suits or uniforms, working tirelessly. It visually screams, I don't care what you think.
And while he's there playing soldier with his harem, there's the issue of tax.
Oh, right, because he owns property in Germany, too.
Massive real estate. A villa with a private lake worth about 460 million baht. The German authorities, being German, love rules and taxes.
Truly.
They sent him a bill for inheritance and property tax.
And his response?
I am a king. I don't pay tax.
Does that work in Germany? I'm guessing no.
Not really. But he tried to use a loophole. He declared his private villa to be diplomatic soil. He basically said, this house is an embassy of Thailand.
Which would make it tax exempt.
Exactly. It's a transparent attempt to dodge the bill, but it shows his mindset. The laws apply to you, not to me. I carry my sovereignty with me.
So we have the money, the dog, the harem, the taxes. But we can't talk about a royal deep dive into this source material without talking about the Game of Thrones aspect.
The wives and consorts.
Honestly, it's a blood sport. The turnover rate is high and the exit interviews are permanent.
Let's run through the roster. Wife number 1, Som Sawali. This was the arranged marriage. She was his cousin.
Keeping it in the family.
Standard royal practice. They married in 1977. But Maha was bored almost immediately. He started having an affair with an actress.
And poor Swamsawali just had to take it.
She refused to divorce him for years. So what did Maha do? He sued her. He took his own wife to court in 1993.
On what grounds?
He blamed her entirely for the marriage failure. And here's the kicker. Because of the lèse majesté laws, which forbid criticizing the royal family, she couldn't defend herself in court.
Why?
Because if she argued back, she would be insulting the crown prince.
That is a rigged game. I'm suing you, and if you speak, you go to jail.
Exactly. She was forced to divorce. Today, she's had multiple strokes and is wheelchair-bound, though she still holds a royal title.
Then comes wife number 2, the actress.
You got it.
They were together for years before they married. She gave him 5 children, 4 sons, and a daughter. You'd think she was secure.
But then came the purge in 1996.
Overnight, everything changed. Maha accused her of cheating on him with a 60-year-old air marshal.
Seems unlikely.
The source questions it, too. Why would she risk her position for a 60-year-old air marshal? But Maha's word is law. He exiled her and the 4 sons.
Just like that.
He stripped their titles and basically said, don't ever come back to Thailand. They live in the U.S. now.
But there's a twist here. One child was allowed back, the daughter, Siri Vanavari. Apparently, a monk told Maha that her horoscope was incredibly auspicious. She was a lucky beast for the kingdom.
A lucky beast.
So he essentially kidnapped his daughter back from exile. She was raised in the palace and is now a fashion designer. She's the Thai beast princess.
That brings us to wife number 3, Sri Razmi, the star of the Foo Foo video.
A former waitress. She gave birth to the current heir, Prince Dipankorn.
But her ending was perhaps the most brutal.
It was a total dismantling. In 2014, when the king wanted to move on, he didn't just divorce her. He accused her family of corruption.
Her whole family.
Her parents, her brothers, everyone was arrested and thrown in jail.
And Sri Razmi herself.
Stripped of all titles. She was forced to shave her head and become a nun. There are photos of her living in a very simple, almost prison-like compound, gardening with a shaved head. From the palace to that.
It's terrifying. It shows that being close to the king is the most dangerous place to be. And now we are in the current era, the era of the duel.
Wife number 4 versus the consort.
In the red corner, we have Queen Suthida.
Former flight attendant for Thai Airways. She met the king on a flight. She joined the bodyguard unit. And you might notice a pattern here. He likes women who can be militarized.
Right.
And she was promoted to general.
She seems smart from what we're reading.
Very smart. She projects a humble, diplomatic image. She knows how to play the game. She's always right behind him, smiling, taking notes.
And in the blue corner, we have Sineenat, the noble consort.
Former nurse, also promoted to general. But she is the bold one. She's the one wearing the crop tops with the king in Germany. She pilots planes with him.
And the drama between them is incredible. Let's look at the timeline here.
May 2019, Suthida is named queen. Just 2 months later, in July, the king names Sineenat noble consort.
A title that hadn't been used in a century.
Right. He essentially brought back official polygamy.
So he has a queen and an official girlfriend.
But the girlfriend, Sineenat, got too ambitious. By October 2019, just 3 months later, she was fired.
Fired from being the girlfriend?
The palace released a statement saying she was disloyal and tried to elevate herself to the level of the queen.
She was thrown in jail. Everyone thought she was dead.
Legitimately. People thought she had been eliminated. But then, August 2020, plot twist, she is pardoned. The king flies her to Germany on his private jet.
And he greets her personally on the tarmac.
Wearing the crop top.
She's back.
She's back. But the war wasn't over. A few months later, leaked photos appeared.
The SD card.
This is wild. A journalist who covers the Thai monarchy received an SD card in the mail. It contained 1,443 private photos of Sineenat taken from her phones.
And these weren't just innocent vacation photos?
Many were nudes, suggestive selfies sent to the king.
Who leaked them?
The theory is strongly pointing at the queen's fashion. It was a calculated move to humiliate the consort just as she was making her comeback. It's digital warfare in the palace.
It is absolutely brutal. You have these factions fighting for the king's favor, knowing that losing doesn't just mean a breakup, it means prison or exile. Which brings us to the biggest question mark of all, the future. Who is going to inherit this madness?
The heir and the curse. The current heir apparent is Prince Dipankorn. He's the son of the exiled third wife, Sri Razmi.
And for a long time, there have been rumors about him.
Yes. Reports suggested he might have developmental delays or autism.
There were incidents, right?
Yes. At his grandfather's funeral, he picked up his sister and shook her. At the coronation, he fell asleep. He dropped medals during ceremonies. He seemed disconnected.
And people looked at him and thought, this is the guy who was going to run the country. The guy who was going to manage the $43 billion.
It caused a lot of anxiety. But recently, there's been a twist. A Hamlet twist.
Explain the Hamlet theory. This is my favorite part of the speculation in the source material.
Well, Hamlet, the Shakespeare character, pretends to be mad, pretends to be crazy, to survive in a court where everyone is plotting to kill him.
And people think Dipankorn is doing that.
There is a growing theory. Recently, he returned from schooling in Germany, and he looked completely different. Fit, sharp, engaging with people normally.
So the theory is his mother, Sri Razmi, before she was exiled, told him, act dumb, be harmless.
Right.
If you look like a threat, the factions will destroy you. If you look like a fool, they will ignore you until you are king.
It's a very compelling narrative. Is he a genius playing the fool to survive the viper pit? Or did he just mature? We don't know.
But the stakes couldn't be higher because of the curse?
The curse of the 10th king. This gives me chills.
Tell us about it.
This is deep Thai lore. The current dynasty, the Chakri dynasty, was founded by Rama I. But to become king, Rama I had to overthrow and kill his friend, King Taksin.
And King Taksin didn't go quietly.
No. Legend says that as he was dying, King Taksin cursed the new dynasty. He said the Chakri dynasty will fall after the 10th generation.
And King Maha.
It's Rama X, the 10th king.
So you have a king who spends his time in Germany wearing crop tops, a succession crisis with a Hamlet prince, massive student protests demanding reform, and an ancient prophecy saying this is where it ends.
It creates a real sense of impending doom in Thailand. People are superstitious. They look at the chaos, the scandals, the disconnect between the wealthy king and the struggling people, and they whisper, is this it? Is the curse real?
It really makes you wonder, so what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've covered a lot of ground today.
I think the takeaway from these sources is about the nature of unchecked power. We tend to think of monarchies today as ceremonial, like the British waving from a balcony.
Right.
But here, we have a medieval style of absolute power operating in the 21st century.
With 21st century money.
Exactly. $43 billion buys you a lot of insulation from reality. It allows you to build a world where your dog is a general and your home is an embassy.
But as we saw with the protests and the Hamlet air, reality eventually tries to crash the party.
And we should remind our listeners everything we just discussed. If you said this out loud in Bangkok, you would go to prison.
That is the lèse majesté law, Article 112. Insulting the king, the queen, or the heir carries a sentence of 3 to 15 years per count.
There's a man mentioned in the source who faces 15 years just for mocking the king's dog on Facebook.
Just for the dog. That is the level of control we are dealing with.
It is a fascinating, slightly terrifying, and completely surreal situation.
It is. So, to wrap up our deep dive into the source material, I want to leave you with a thought. In a modern world of global internet and democratic ideals, how long can a kingdom operate like a fantasy novel before the spell breaks?
Is the curse supernatural, or is it just the inevitable result of a system that refuses to adapt?
A heavy question to end on, but definitely something to think about next time you see a headline about a royal family. Just remember, crop tops and poodles.
And $43 billion.
Two. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.